Hi, I'm Ben.
And I'm Andrew.
And we're the Boba Guys.
Meet Andrew, one of the founders of Boba Guys, a successful bubble tea company started in 2011 by two friends and huge fans of boba, Andrew and Ben. Boba Guys began in the heart of the tech industry in the Bay Area, where rent is among the highest in the US. They survived the pandemic and recently opened their 23rd store across the country. They are bringing a more elevated and high-end boba experience to California. How did they achieve this? Let's find out in this video. Okay, Andrew, why did you start it? Why not a tech startup?
I think in hindsight, that probably would have been a better decision, especially after this pandemic. But I think we started just like, I don't think any entrepreneur would say something unique. You just follow your passion, right? So I love boba. My co-founder and I were huge fans of boba, of tea. We don't really drink a lot of alcohol.
In 2011, Ben and Andrew worked together at Timbuk2, a messenger bag and accessories company.
When we met at Timbuk2, we were kind of like one of the few Asians in the company, and so we bonded over ping pong.
While playing, they realized they had a lot in common and became fast friends. They bonded over lunch runs to the local boba shop in the Mission. One day, when the shop closed down, they decided to learn how to make the perfect cup of boba milk tea themselves.
The idea came out in 2010, and then in 2011 was when the first pop-up came out.
They started as a pop-up business in 2011 with no formal business plan, simply wanting to share their boba creations. This unconventional beginning was driven by their enthusiasm rather than a traditional startup approach.
Well, I'll give you a secret. Like, I don't think I've ever cleared this up. Our first store actually came out of our personal money. And so he and I were thinking about buying a car separately. And then we were taking the money from the pop-up and our personal money and said, all right, instead of buying a car this year, why don't, like, I'm gonna forego a car if you forego a car, and let's put that money into the first physical retail shop. We started with $80,000. I think it was like 30, 40K, and then 10K came from the pop-up that we were doing.
And fast forward to today, how much does it cost to start a store, just to compare? Of course, like your standards.
Back then was 80. Our
Yeah.
first store in the Mission was 80. I think nowadays it's like 300,000.
300?
Yeah.
Now Boba Guys have opened 23 stores, most of them in the Bay Area, 5 in Los Angeles area, and 3 in New York.
We did it because we wanted free boba. Like,
Love it.
like I used to drink a lot of our boba, like a lot. And you could see my pictures, like there was a time where you could see I drank a lot of our boba. Like I was like a little fatter. And we were like, our metabolism was about to go. I was like, I can't have a pizza and feel the same way anymore.
Yeah.
And the same thing was with boba. I think when I had, you know, like too much of a certain sugar, I'm very sensitive to some sugars. People don't know that. But I had to figure out, how do I change out the ingredients? So part of it was, I already went to coffee shops and places that already had what you would call more like natural or premium ingredients. And at the time, this is about 10, 13 years ago, 2011, boba was not really yet a thing, but Blue Bottle, Phil's Coffee out here in Silicon Valley, that was booming.
Yeah.
And so we're like, could we make a version of boba that is closer to the style of Blue Bottle and Phil's, and make it for everyone, which is what we tried to do.
What is your bestseller overall? All your stores.
Probably our black milk tea, although which is just like almost like an English breakfast tea with like a choice of milk. But then our most signature, which is right up there, is a strawberry matcha latte.
Because your strawberry jam is the best. It's out of this world, literally, guys. You have to try it because it's like basically just strawberry and sugar, right? And
it's essentially strawberry and sugar. Yeah, it's like a puree, almost like a jam.
it's so good.
It is sweet.
Oh my god, yeah. What's your favorite?
It really depends on how I feel. Like the weather is pretty good, so I want something more refreshing. So I really like the lychee oolong a lot.
I'm gonna go for the rose black, the one that you recommended.
Let's quickly pause for the sponsor of this video. I am constantly on the hunt for the best interior finds for my home. I love unique quality pieces that immediately make you feel comfortable. I fell in love with these boucle fabric chairs at first sight. They complemented my living room perfectly and have become our favorite place to grab a cup of coffee in the morning or relax with a book after a long day. The design was inspired by the beloved top chair style that graced the salon's of 18th century France, but it looks modern and will fit almost every interior. This premium luxury boucle fabric feels incredibly cozy and soft against your skin, and the solid wood frame is kiln-dried to perfection, ensuring exceptional durability without compromising on its lightweight. The chairs are made of high-density foam padding that cradles your body, whereas every curve and contour of the chair is meticulously designed to offer optimal support and relaxation. I will leave the link in the description under this video. Please check it out. I'm sure you will enjoy this experience. I had a question I really wanted to ask someone in the food industry.
Like I go to Italy,
Yeah.
I go to a restaurant and I'm amazed by the quality of food. I come back here,
Yeah.
people make more money. People are, advancing in all kinds of technologies. But you go to a restaurant and you see why do you think Americans care less about high quality food?
Ooh.
Have you thought about that?
That's a controversial thing to say, and I don't want you to get in trouble by foodies out there. We wouldn't say Americans care about less high quality, but I do think Americans love convenience.
For Andrew, two cultural differences shape the market and how we consume food and beverages. The first is the on-the-go culture.
I was in Taipei and Tokyo, and over there, you don't always drink and walk on the street. When you drink a beverage, a lot of times you sit down in a cafe. In America, you look cool because you got your latte and your frappuccino in your hand, and you're driving, and you're like, oh, let me get this 24 ounce down. So I think there's a little bit of a cultural kind of difference, and so we're much more of a fast food culture, which I would say is very true of America. That, I think, transformed itself maybe into a style of drinks, because then we are more likely, there's probably a bigger market size for convenience-driven food, so fast food, drinks that are to go, single-use packaging versus, sipping on your tea.
The second is that according to research, most caffeine intake in the US happens before 11 a.m., not after.
All of the innovation is coming out of Asia, maybe the Middle East, or Seoul, Korea, Taipei, Taiwan, Tokyo, Bangkok, or Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh, Saigon. If you have cafe culture at midnight, you'll see packed cafes, people just drinking, and the youth culture is so amazing. Whereas here, you would never think about drinking anything caffeinated after 11.
Yeah.
Over there, they're drinking, and it's not alcohol all the time. And so there's already just a different type of norm. For us international people, we can hopefully make new norms for people. For me, it's boba and tea. One of our drinks is called a Tie Guanyin Oolong. It translates to Iron Goddess. We didn't call it Iron Goddess Oolong because I wanted Americans to say Tie Guanyin, which is actually what it is, or Tikunyam. It means Iron Goddess. And I said, if Americans can say Timothée Chalamet and they pronounce that perfectly, they can kind of say Tie Guanyin. So our goal was we accepted the challenge, and that's one of our top teas right now.
Have you had any fears before starting this company that the general consumer would not appreciate the elevated price point and overpaying for organic milk?
Yeah, for sure. Less about the price point. We were maybe a little cautious about what our own Asian community would say about boba. And it did happen. As we got big, the first 5 years though, people were like, Boba Guys, they're sellouts. They make boba for non-Asians. Boba is an Asian traditional thing. So these are purists. So we were heavily criticized by purists, heavily, almost hate mail.
So you basically got bashed for selling boba to non-Asians?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, it was very clear. I get where it comes from, right? It is coming from a place that is, I would say, I'm empathetic to why, right? When I see people, our friends make music or make content, make fashion, they're saying, oh, that's not a traditional Japanese style of this, or that's not a traditional, French way of doing this pastry. There's a time and place to be traditional, but the world would be getting nowhere if you just stuck only to tradition. And some people will do the traditional, and some people will probably be more of the kind of progressive, modern, contemporary take. You need both. For us, we never advertised ourselves as traditional, and that was why I wouldn't say I was hurt, but I was just are we being misunderstood? Because we never said this was traditional boba.
Yeah.
We never ever said that. what we would say is I think our tagline back then was like, join the boba revolution, right? Or like changing the way people think about boba and tea. That was very obviously like a pivot from the industry.
They wanted to bring boba tea to America, but there is a big difference between whipping up your favorite drink and running a real business. How did they manage to turn their passion into a thriving business and make boba tea a big hit in America?
Didn't think about scale at all. You can tell because, I don't know if you know this, we did not quit our full-time jobs until our third store.
Oh, wow.
And when we quit, we both took huge salary pay cuts. I cut my salary by a third. You know, I was making like quite a bit in six figures. First 9 years of Boba Guys, I'll say this, I don't think I've ever said this, it was like $65,000 a year. I didn't realize how risky it was, but if Boba Guys did not work, I would have owed, and it likely would have put my mortgage underwater.
Wow.
To sign a store, the landlord asked for a personal guarantee. Now we don't have to have personal guarantees, but our first 5 stores, which covered the first 5 years, was all personally guaranteed. So if any of them kind of like went under and then they started domino affecting, we could have lost our entire life savings. And that's what people don't understand, how much risk entrepreneurs take.
And small business owners especially. They're more vulnerable to unpredictable events such as pandemics. In 2020, when the world shut down, Boba Guys laid off 400 people and closed 17 locations, including 9 in the Bay Area, on a single day in March. After the pandemic, the rising cost of living in big cities created a new trend. People started to move to the suburbs. This has significant effects on cafes like boba shops.
Our revenue in San Francisco is probably down 50%. Through work at home, through a lot of the kind of like remote work, which I believe in, it just decentralized kind of the population. And so more people are hitting the suburbs. But for us, we had 6 stores in San Francisco. So that was more than half that was like a half our chain.
Yeah.
So at the time, that really hurt us.
Are they losing money, those stores?
Some are, yeah.
Are you going to shut them down, or what's the plan?
That is the question. What would you do?
A lot of businesses are shutting down in San Francisco.
Yeah.
What if you sell the company now? What if Starbucks comes and acquires?
Oh, in this economy? That's still true. Nobody wants to do food business, especially California-based.
Really?
Yeah. The market value is like dead.
In 2024, the restaurant and cafe industry in California is facing an unprecedented crisis. A combination of rising costs, new regulations, inflation, higher wages, and the lingering effects of the pandemic have created a crisis for the restaurant industry in California. All of this threatens the survival of many beloved establishments and raises concerns about the future of the state's culinary landscape.
I think any business can make money, but risk to reward and then likelihood of profitability, I think of all the industries, the only industries I think that are like big industries that have a similar kind of makeup, like maybe a stand-up comedian, maybe entertainment, that's probably as risky with less reward. I think food and beverage is right there. Like your ROI is always going to be stronger starting an insurance company or being a broker, doing food and beverage is so different because it's very heavily reliant on labor.
Yeah.
It's very reliant on rules and regulations, which change. And so most other industries aren't as susceptible to those things. And change is the death of a lot of businesses. Because one rule change, one tax IRS change will change your economics.
Yeah.
Which again, an average person doesn't think about. Our goal is to create a win-win-win, right? For the most part, you do it for the love. For me, I would say I'm very lucky. Like I have an amazing team. I have these opportunities.
How much does the store make in a day? Can you share? If there are some numbers that you can share.
I'll tell you how much like these chains make. I probably can guess $850,000.
So it's a little less than 10K, 100K a month.
Yeah.
At 30% margin, or their margins?
No, I think they're probably. This is Los Altos labor, which is higher labor than an average place. So I think they're probably making like 15, 20 cents on the dollar here. So that means if they make 850,000, I'm thinking they're collecting $160,000, $170,000 from this store.
But comparing to your,
I would say we're in that ballpark.
Similar numbers?
We're in that ballpark. Okay. I would say our margins are slightly better because we have a more specialized product.
You sell a lot of different things in your stores. You sell merchandise, you sell other products. Can you talk about the revenue? Like what makes the most revenue? How much do these products contribute to your overall revenue streams?
I actually don't know. I know it's in the six figures, I'll tell you that. I just don't know how much. It's not our core business, but it is bigger than almost most of these. Like, I would say compared to almost any cafe, we sell a lot of merchandise. People know us because we do a lot of collaborations and lifestyle stuff. You could see a custom stuffed animal aardvark that's sitting above the counter right there. We're essentially vertically integrated, so we direct source that. We worked with a factory directly from Asia because you can see it has like a custom boba cup, and it's our proportions of an aardvark snout with his length. It kind of looks like our logo.
My kids always grab it.
Do they?
Yeah, they try to grab it, they try to play with it and take it away. I'm gonna leave it here. In 5 years, where do you see Boba Guys?
I don't know. I'll be honest. I think a lot of founders I found have this problem where when you're a founder, your goal is just a mission. And most of these missions are kind of like a little bit like amorphous. They're very like vague. Like, I want to change culture. I want to bring AI to the world. Like, what does that mean?
That's me all the time.
Right?
Like, how do you quantify that?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
it's not a smart goal.
Yeah.
Specific, measurable, actionable. I forget what my corporate speak. How do I know like my time is up? My time is up, and maybe Boba Guys' time is up when I think we've changed the industry of boba. I think most people will say that we helped. I don't think we're the only one, but I think we helped change the perception of what boba means in America, and it kind of went back to Asia. So a lot of people know us in Asia now, where it's originated. I would say maybe the one piece left is, can we change the cafe industry? This is a controversial hot take. Hopefully this doesn't get me in too much trouble. Is the future of the collision course of cafes. If you go anywhere in the world, they're all colliding. Starbucks are going to be more innovative, and the coffee bean, the Pete's coffees, they're going to start looking more like boba shops. That's what I said earlier. I think our job would be done is if people accept that a boba shop and a coffee shop, like a Starbucks and a Boba Guys and a Blue Bottle and a Phil's Coffee, that they're all essentially the same market.
And it seems like Andrew was right. In early May 2024, Starbucks launched a new boba drink on their summer menu. With over 15,000 locations across the US, Starbucks will definitely spread the popularity of boba to a new level.
I do have a personal mission. As I said, change the industry, change cafes maybe. Personally, I want to change leadership style. If you know my team, they're going to say, well, if Andrew's in the store with you, which I go to stores every day, I work about 40 hours in the store a week, they're gonna say, Andrew loves talking about dreams, but be careful because he's gonna push you. They will all say that. I am like, they call it like Tiger Dad or Tiger Founder, where I'm like, don't be mediocre, maximize your potential. Everybody has the potential to do something great. It's just, what is it? Now, will you do something great? I don't know, but everybody has the potential.
Yeah.
And I used to hear these stories where they were like, I used to work at a McDonald's, you know, I used to like, how'd you get your start? I used to work at a Denny's. Jensen Huang, right? He was a dishwasher, NVIDIA. He used to be a dishwasher at Denny's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
Like,
crazy story.
I want people to be like, you know, it was one of the weirdest things, but I worked at a boba shop.
That's awesome.
And I learned more about managing people and emotional IQ and people skills in that than I did in any of my corporate jobs. And then I worked for this guy, Andrew, who was a little bit like pushy with his kind of leadership style, but he got the best out of me. And I'd like to say a majority of our managers feel that way. I hope on the exit interviews, I think that's what they say. So then I'll be like, all right, this is fulfilling for me. I make okay money. But what's worth it is the ability to kind of influence the industry, the boba industry, the coffee industry and cafe industry, which is what we're kind of leaning into now. And then I think also this larger idea of like how leadership is done.
So no attention to sell.
Oh, no.
No?
I think had that happened, it probably would have happened pre-pandemic. Because at that point I would have just done it. Time is of the essence. Like, I probably would, I don't think most founders in consumer are built to sell. And this is, I'm gonna say this because I'm not thinking about any specific company. a lot of the brands that I admired, when they sold, they lost their soul and they lost everything.
So in 10 years, you see yourself running this?
I don't know if I'm running it. I hope I have a better CEO. My friend Nathaniel, actually from Sweetgreen, like he is the chief culture officer. I've actually liked that idea, where I want to always protect the culture. We have our team who are learning, like I would say 10 years ago. Our team, believe it or not, didn't even know, a lot of them did not know what ube was. And now they know how to talk about the difference between taro and purple yam. Most people, probably 5 years ago, did not know what black sugar meant. It looks like a syrup. Now, most people, because we sell millions of drinks, in our markets, they know what black sugar Kirimitsu is. I mean, that's cool to me.
That's cool.
Like,
Yeah.
they did not know. You had hundreds of people that did not know. And then in 10 years, they all know.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you
I
for
think
having
you're
us.
You're doing an amazing job, and I love your drinks. My kids love your drinks, and I let them drink your drinks because
Aw,
they're good
thanks.
and good ingredients. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Andrew.
having
That
us.
was
This is
super
so fun.
inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.